Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Classic Doctor Who. Now before I get started, just so you know, in case there's a lot of extra background noise, or at least very fuzzy noises, I know it's kind of noisy usually with my camera anyway, I have the heat going and it's going to be going fairly constantly while I'm recording because it's really freaking cold outside and I live in Minnesota. So there's your reason. But just wanted to let you know. And yeah, today I'm going to be watching part 1, or rather the first 2 episodes of The Reign of Terror. I have no idea why I said it that way. But regardless, yes, I'll be watching The Reign of Terror, the first 2 episodes, A Land of Fear and Guests of Madame Guillotine. And yeah. I'm interested to see how this goes, and very interested to finish the first season of the original run of Doctor Who, of which there are many seasons, and I will never have to worry about running out of things to watch, with the exception of the episodes that are just completely missing. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's get right into A Land of Fear and see what the heck is up with the Doctor, since he just kind of went off on Ian all of a sudden, and the commenters confirmed that the Doctor wasn't just, you know, being like jokingly rude. He was just kind of being a jerk. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go! And it's on a DVD.
It reminds me of a holiday I once took in Somerset.
Then I expect it is Somerset, my dear.
On the entire planet, Doctor.
Well, if you're going, be off with you.
It's very warm, isn't it? It must be summertime. Yes.
In hell?
Very nice.
We lost him. You don't say.
I agree with the Doctor there.
He knows these woods like the back of his hand.
Well, we better join the others.
Kiss, you fools!
Wait a minute. The Doctor's put us down right in the middle of the French Revolution.
Oh!
The Reign of Terror.
Oh! Oh! Bad news.
Why not?
Favorite period in the history of Earth.
Why?
I'm getting very far now. They found us.
Yeah, seriously, don't yell, idiot. Stop yelling.
My whole family were executed.
Look at the house.
It's only a model.
What about Grandpa?
Now that's an effective ending slate. Like, oh, and they keep it going into, that's effective. That is very effective. I like the way they did that, with the fire continuing into the end credits. It's like, instead of just sort of fading to black and showing the end, it's like that's a good way of building some tension. And I mean, I'm legitimately curious, despite the fact that, you know, I know the Doctor gets out of it. I'm very curious as to how they go about doing that, because again, there's just the kid, unless he gets help from someone, or I don't know, somehow. I mean, the Doctor's unconscious, so he's not going to be able to save himself. So yeah, I'm legitimately curious to see what happens in this next episode, Guests of Madame Guillotine. Before moving on, though, there are a few things I just want to talk about real quick. First of all, just the fact that, again, this was early establishment of the fact that the Doctor just doesn't really have full control of the TARDIS. The TARDIS very much chooses where it goes. Although, back at this point, I mean, it could be chalked up to essentially just the Doctor doesn't really know how to take it where it needs to go, or where he wants it to go. But obviously, later in the canon, it's established, and then especially in the new era, it's explained that, you know, the TARDIS just kind of takes it wherever the Doctor is needed. But yeah, falling into France, in the French Revolution, during a period called the Reign of Terror. I was going to say, well, I glanced down at the episode name. It's like A Land of Fear, but the Reign of Terror. And, I mean, obviously not a great period to be in. But Susan says something that, I mean, I voiced it when she said it in the episode, but also I'm just wondering, the Reign of Terror is supposed to be the Doctor's favorite period of human history. Why? Why would that be his favorite period of human history? I can only assume. I don't know. Maybe something has been mentioned in the new Doctor Who, and I just don't remember it being brought up regarding sort of like if it's still his favorite or not. But I can only assume that probably after this serial, the Reign of Terror, that the Doctor might choose a different era to be his favorite. But yeah, that's just truly bizarre to me. That such a horrible point in history, one of many on this planet, would be the Doctor's favorite period. That's bizarre to me. But again, maybe I'm right in that this whole ordeal will end up bringing the Doctor to change his mind. It's like, I don't particularly care for this era much anymore. No, indeed. But yeah, it was unfortunate losing the two, well, one cool new character, and then the other one who was just kind of, he was annoying me. But obviously it's like, you know, he's very dramatic. He's portraying a sort of trauma of what happened to his family and what he witnessed in the past. So it was unfortunate that they're just dead. I was hoping that they would at least be around for another episode, but I guess in this serial, especially since it's the season finale of sorts, I guess it makes sense that they would sort of up the stakes as far as anything could happen. I don't know if that's really something that they did a lot back in the day when it came to season finales. But they introduced two new characters and they died in a very short span of time. So over the next 5 more episodes, how many more people are going to die? I mean, they refer to Madame Guillotine, so I can only assume that at least one more person is probably going to die in this next episode. So, that being said, I'm ready to get into the next episode, so let's get right into it. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Guillotine as soon as it can be arranged.
You're ugly.
Take them to the cells.
Her. My name is Sourpuss Bill. Brr. Stupid allergies. As the Doctor's walking to a field, of course. Retroactive allergies.
James Sterling. Oh,
The Jimquisition! Sorry.
promise.
Yes. James Sterling. Find James Sterling. Tell him to get back to England. He has important information.
But Jim Sterling's in America!
I promise.
Good day to you, sir. I suppose you think you're very clever. Well, without any undue modesty, yes. Well, show me your papers or something to prove your identity. I asked how long he's been dead.
Long enough?
Several hours.
Moffat, there's rats down there!
But we won't show them because they're too hideous. Finally! God! There's something about that jaunty tune every time he's walking. A change of identity. Oh, that guy was supposed to be a judge. Okay. Agree to disagree. I judge his face. It was quite ugly. Anyway. Alright, so we definitely have a lot more going on in this serial than the previous ones, like with the Sensorites and everything. Still some lulls to be sure, but it's I'm curious to see how the rest of this plays out. I'm interested to see what exactly is going to happen, how they're going to stop the execution of Barbara and Susan, because obviously they're not going to die. I was right, one more person did die. Although not in quite such a violent fashion. Although they died even faster than the other two from the previous episode. Yeah, they definitely have a thing for temporary characters in this serial. Just kind of be like, oh, by the way, here's this person, now they're dead. Speaking of which, well, I'll get around to that. Starting off with, the kids save the doctor from the burning building. Now, I can appreciate, basically them cutting to where the doctor is outside of what was a burning building. No longer is, obviously. But I wish there was some explanation as to how the kid got him out of there. Because it didn't seem like there were any windows, otherwise I assumed the doctor would have been going to a window to try to get out. There was fire leading up to the door, or at least there was a lot of smoke coming in. So I just wish there was at least some form of dramatization or just some implication as to how the kid got him out of there. Now the doctor is... he doesn't appear to be very heavy. He seems very light, very skinny. So, I can give them that, but again, it just seems... My suspension of disbelief doesn't go so far as to think that that kid, among all the smoke and fire, would have had an easy time of getting out of there, and then would not have, like, soot and stuff all over him after saving the doctor. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed a little bit weird to me. But, let's see. Oh yeah, after, being put into jail, this was the first time, like, even Barbara commented on, the way Susan was acting. And I don't know if this is maybe a bit more of character development on her part, a less childlike wonder and more like focusing on the reality of the situation, but Susan was being much more pessimistic than usual. And, I mean, obviously, given the situation they're in, it's understandable. But even in the darkest of times previously, she has looked on the bright side of things, or she's tried to find a possible out. But she didn't really do that in this episode. So again, I'm curious as to whether or not that's a bit more of character development from her sort of growing up out of this, just very much a child when the show first started. So yeah, I'm interested to see if that plays into it at all. And then we get introduced to the side plot of the whole, war of England versus France, or what will, I guess, be breaking out into that eventually. And it's just, again, it goes back to that character who was introduced to us and then immediately killed off. I would say that while the last few episodes have been more interesting, there's been more going on, they introduce these characters that don't really, their purpose is to be there to die. And like even the previous ones, like they were there just to sort of, I guess, establish how dire the situation was, how serious the situation was with them dying. But then this one, whose name I don't even remember, I think it might have started with a W, he talks about having to find someone and how he has great information. And we're just introduced to the guy while he's dying. It's like, I assume he was there before Ian got into the jail cell. I assume. There's no other way really to know. But it's just this weird little plot hole, and for all I know, like what came of that conversation, of what Ian learned from him about this person and how kind of he can find him, that may end up being the core of the episodes moving forward once Barbara and Susan get saved. But there's no real way to know. It just, England and France go to war at some point. That's part of history. So is it just sort of like an establishment there? I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens in the upcoming episodes as to how that might hopefully tie in a little bit more to what loose plot there is at this point so far. And one other thing, something that, I commented on this during the reaction portion, but Citizen, the title of Citizen. I know I've heard terms, or the title like, Citizen Kane, and I feel like there's another one, but that came to mind while I was watching, but it's escaping me now. But what is the title of Citizen? Is that... I mean, it seems to be a somewhat high-ranking title, even when, in the first episode, one of the soldiers, or just peasants, I guess, that were made into soldiers, referred to one of the very smarmy-looking guys as Citizen. But what does that mean? I will try and look it up, and if I think to remember to put it in here, I'll put like sort of a definition for anyone else that might also be a little bit confused. But in case I don't, or I just forget, if anyone does know, please mention it in the comments down below. I'm legitimately curious as to what the whole deal is there. It could just be me and poor vocabulary, or poor historical vocabulary. But I'm just interested to know. Now, this next part, when it came to the group on the road, the debtors working on the road, and then the big annoying guy who was watching over them, Now, I can appreciate that there was a plan. The Doctor made a plan to get them out of that. But there were steps in there that weren't necessary. At all. At all. Like, the guy was clearly pretty dumb. And yes, he had a gun on him. But when they caught his attention, he ran forward and was in front of all of them. Was not paying attention. And there were at least 3 of them that were holding shovels. Why didn't you just hit him in the head then? Why did it have to involve stealing money from the guy's change purse, which, you know, he might not have brought with him. He might have left it. But unlikely, since, you know, he's likely to keep it very close to him. But, you know, that also relies on the luck, as, again, Susan was referring to in some of her pessimistic statements. It's like, you know, it just happened to be that they were lucky enough that his change purse was open so the Doctor could grab some coins. And then they distract him with the coins, and then he starts digging. And then, after additional pause and hesitation, then someone hands the Doctor the shovel. And the Doctor clocks the guy. That wasn't necessary at all. It's, I don't know. Again, I feel like for me that was stuff that it might not have been something they had in mind. Like that they might not have been thinking, oh, it's like, you know, well, we can extend the scene by doing this. That probably was the furthest thing from their mind. It probably seemed like a clever route to go, but just from my mindset, it was unnecessary. And those could have been characters like the Doctor talked to that one character, that one other deader, and all, you know, had they knocked the guy out sooner, they could have conversed a little bit. They could have established this other character that, yes, we might never see him again in the story, but at least he's someone we'd get to know when he wasn't dead. I don't know, it just seems like there were better ways to go about it, but they didn't for whatever reason. I wish that it had been handled a little bit better. And then, wait a second. What did I? Oh, good. Oh, okay. I wrote very poorly here while trying to watch, but probably my favorite part of this entire episode, the Doctor's traveling music while he's walking down the street, which was definitely padding and definitely used to, you know, sort of make sure that they reached an appropriate length as far as the episode goes. But yeah, the Doctor's just, you know, walking down the road, and that jaunty music, which is a complete contrast from the vibe of the rest of the episode with the others in jail, and then again at the end, Susan and Barbara being taken to the guillotine, aka Madame Guillotine. So, yeah. And I guess aside from that, I'm curious as to why the citizen guy had Ian's name marked off the guillotine list. Maybe he wants to question Ian because he doesn't believe that the guy didn't talk to him, or maybe he believes Ian over the weird, creepy jailer guy. I don't know. No clue. But yeah, that was a weird noise. I have no idea what's going on out there. Anyway, background noises in addition to the heating and everything. But yeah, so again, these first 2 episodes were rather interesting. They have me interested to see what's going to be coming up next. And I don't know if it's the next episode or the one after, but at least one episode coming up will be a recreation. And I hear that the animation style is rather interesting, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But again, also really looking forward to finding out how the rest of this story plays out. So yeah, this has been part 1 of 3 for The Reign of Terror, and next time we will be getting into part 2. And everyone, please do let me know your thoughts on these episodes, and let me know your thoughts on what I've had to say as well. Do you feel like I, am looking at these a little bit wrong? Is there more to it there than I'm thinking? And of course, if I did forget to include what a citizen is in this context, please let me know. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Everyone, thank you so much for being here for this episode of Discovering Classic Doctor Who. Ready to get into the next episode, and I will see you all in that next episode. So until then, later days.